In order to take advantage of this amazing view, we need some Adirondack chairs. These are from Ashley Home, and we bought them as a kit, and well, we're gonna put them together in this video. Welcome back to another Jeff Reviews for you. And as you saw, we are putting together a set of Adirondack chairs. That is going to be awesome. You know what? Enough talk. Let's get right into this review. Our box is open and we can see that we have a lot of assembling to do, but I'm really excited at least the backs are put together. Let's take this stuff out. You see in that orange package, that's our instructions. There's also some screws and such attached to the box in a red bag. Let's take this stuff out. Unboxed doesn't look as daunting. There are really only 8 pieces, and I'm really excited that every piece is labeled with a corresponding letter. That's gonna make this install a whole lot easier. Our first step, you're gonna need 8 of these screws labeled letter M. There's 10 of them total, so you're gonna need 8 for this first part. We're actually gonna be using part E and F, and we're gonna be putting them in these 4 screw holes on either side. So let's start that up. Just finishing off this last one on these outer pieces. Now that we're done setting up those, let's get the base piece that you sit on to try to connect this together. The first part seems a little confusing, but I'm gonna walk you through it. I have piece E right here. Piece E actually goes on the right side of the chair. Remember, this is the chair part you sit on. So these 3 screws that stick out actually correspond to the 3 holes that are right there. I couldn't find an easy way to just line up and go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm popping the middle screw out to try to eye it out and line it up here and start that one first, and then I can put the other 2 in. Just to give you a close-up, I'm trying to line this one up right to here. Now that I know that I've at least gotten this piece in the hole, I'm gonna line this up flat right here and then put the back 2 screws in. Putting them all down at the same length got me a little snag, so I ended up loosening this one all the way out, tightening this one down, which closed the gap here. So now I'm tightening down the last one to close up this gap. When I had them both in, the gap just wasn't closing. So it's probably better to do them one at a time. I've tightened both sides down. E and F are snug. So now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab pull labeled G, and that one actually is gonna connect to this bottom pole here, and it goes from one side to the other. Just like that, our first step is done. Now we are going to prepare to put the arms on, but we're going to take 2 more screws, both letter M, and screw them in the outer side on both sides of the chair. Now that we have both those screws put in for the most part, the next part takes a little balance because we actually have to screw in the arm here, holding it in place to that screw. Once in, you can see that it's tightened and actually holding in place. It's a little awkward at first, but once it gets tightened down, it really holds. Let's do the other side. This is what your chair should look like at the end of step 2. Now let's move on to step 3, which I actually think we put the back on. In order to put the back on, we first have to put in some screws. So there's 2 different kinds of screws. We have K and J. K is the long screw, and that's actually going to go in the top right here. This is the only one of the screws that are pointed, and of course J will go down at the bottom. Just like the other steps, I actually pre-put in my screws before putting on the piece, so now we are ready for the back. As far as balancing purposes go, I found it easier to put the screw in down here at the bottom before doing the arms. It was just a nightmare trying to line it up, but I got one in just like here, and then I did the other side. Now I can actually move up to the arms. And finally, to add some extra stability, we're going to put piece H in between the back 2 legs. And of course, there are screws that I've already started here. That is our last step, and this chair is done. And just like that, we are finished with our Adirondack chair. Doesn't that look sweet? So tell me, what are your thoughts of these Adirondack chairs? Have you tried them? Were you interested? Is there another brand that you think is better? Let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. These chairs are a composite material, which means they're more like a plastic, so you definitely can leave them outside and not worry about them rotting. Now that it's assembled, let's talk a little bit about the measurements. From left to right, it's 31.5 inches wide, it's 38.25 inches tall, and from front to back, it's 32.5 inches. I will say it's also 42 pounds, so you might need someone to help you carry it around. The directions tell us that they have a 300-pound weight capacity, and the color should last for years to come. Although I didn't show the assembly, I did also get a unit that had a table. It only had 8 screws. It was one of the easiest assemblies of anything that I've done. It is a little smaller than I thought it was going to be. The table is 18 inches tall and a 15-inch wide. It is a square, so it's 15 by 15. But in the end, I'm glad that I got the table. As per this review, the Adirondack chairs have a 4.3 star out of 5-star rating. For those people that didn't like it, they said things like the holes didn't line up or the hardware was defective and even the screws would strip out. I did find out that the holes were hard to line up. They weren't impossible, but they were more difficult than I would have liked. For those that liked it, they felt that it was well built, they loved it, and it was easy to assemble. One person actually said that they used power tools to put theirs together. I would sort of advise against that, as you could use power tools and then break the plastic. Even though it's heavy duty, you could actually crack the plastic. In this video, we are looking at a set of Adirondack chairs with a side table. This is a signature design collection by Ashley. So what do we think of it? First things first, let's talk about that price point. The chair alone is between $180 to $189 depending on the color you choose. If you choose a chair option with the table, it's an additional $100, so just be prepared for that. I mentioned based on the different color choices, well, what I found is it came in white, it came in turquoise, it came in red, and there's also this grayish brown or tan color. I do appreciate that for the most part, the units came almost completely assembled except for putting the arms and legs on. I will say assembling the arms and legs, although it was quick and easy, it was also pretty frustrating because it was hard to align some of the screws with the holes. It would have been nice if there was some sort of a jig, or even if all the screws were pointed, because sometimes those flat screws were hard to fit into the hole. I do feel that it's actually made out of pretty decent material. That polyethylene or that hard plastic is meant to last for years to come. I like that over having traditional wooden Adirondack chairs because I can just leave these outside and I don't worry about them in the rain or weather. Not to mention that hard plastic is actually pretty easy to clean. I'm looking forward to using these in the spring, summer, and fall, maybe even the winter. And if this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. Well, this is funny. I noticed on one of the chairs, it's missing a screw on every one of the seated planks that has 2 screw holes. That's frustrating. The other chair had them all, but this one is missing 4 of the screws. I reached out to the company about the missing screws, and voila, within a few days, they shipped me a pack of screws, and these screws are actually all the screws for the entire unit, including the ones that hold down the chair slats. I thought that was pretty impressive. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review where I assembled some of the signature design Ashley Adirondack chairs. You know what? Not that long ago, I actually assembled my very own gazebo that I purchased from Lowe's, and I still use it to this day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link that review right up here, and I would love it if you would click on this link. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you right here. So go ahead, click it. It's safe. I promise.